Well, hi there everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Kareth and I've got a recipe for you today for a delicious mix in a jar. And I'm calling these slider buns, or just you could do sandwich buns depending on how big you make them. But I'm going to be using some butter powder, honey crystals, scrambled egg mix, and then just yeast, salt, and flour. There's only 6 ingredients go into the jar, and it's a great recipe, y'all. And I'm going to turn these into pulled pork sandwiches because I've got some Thrive Life pulled pork. I'm going to add a little bit of seasoning, some barbecue sauce, and believe it or not, this entire meal is ready in under an hour. I'm using a quart-sized jar here for the bread mix, and it just depends on how big you make your buns, but somewhere between 8 and 12 buns you'll get from this recipe. I already filled that jar with 3 cups of flour, and I just forgot to put the yeast on the bottom. So if you're making this and it's going to sit on your shelf, go ahead and put the yeast on the bottom, and that way it'll be separated from the salt by the flour. And then in go the honey crystals, some of our scrambled egg mix. That helps give it some structure. And then butter powder is going to give some great flavor, as well as a teaspoon of salt. That's it. That's all that goes into this jar. There's your oxygen absorber, and I would think you could keep this on your pantry shelf for just as long as your yeast is good. Mine was good for about 2 years, so you might write yourself a little note. Make sure that you bake these by that time. You could make several of these jars at once if you really like this recipe. Into the bowl of a stand mixer that's been fitted with a dough hook, you can add a cup of about 110-degree water, and then just empty the contents of the jar in there. And all you're going to have to do is add 2 tablespoons of oil. I used avocado oil. You could use olive oil, just some sort of oil. Any kind of oil will do. Turn on that mixer. Let it form into a dough. As you look at your dough, you'll be able to figure out whether or not it's enough flour. All right, I'm going to check it at this point and see how it's doing. Scrape down the sides of the bowl. This to me looks really good because it's not too wet. So let me scrape down that bowl just a little bit. 3 cups of flour was perfect. Lock it, and we let that knead for 5 minutes on a 2 to 4, something like that. All right, this is after 5 minutes of kneading, and this is what your dough is going to look like. See that? It's just slightly tacky, but it's definitely not sticky. Yeah, slap it, move it around, and it is not sticking to my fingers. That's what you're looking for. Okay, here's our dough, and I'm just going to turn it out onto my countertop. And it's not sticky at all. Okay, it's great. I don't even need any flour on my surface. And I'm going to divide this into probably 8. I got this awesome dough scraper on Amazon, and I will link it below. So I'm just dividing it in half and dividing those in half, and then dividing each of these in half. All right, and what you want to do is you want to stretch the dough, fold it, stretch, just stretch it a couple times, and then tuck it under. And then I'm going to put that on a parchment lined baking sheet. Let me show you again. So I stretched it, turned it, stretched it, and now I'm just going to tuck it. So that's what it looks like on the top. It's pretty smooth on the top. On the bottom, there's the seam, but it's fine. You want like a little tension on the surface of the dough there. One of the best things about making these homemade buns is that there's no rise time. Believe it or not, there's a rest time whenever you're preheating your oven, but there's zero rise time. So these are going to be ready start to finish within 45 minutes. You will have fresh hamburger buns, slider buns, Subway sandwich buns, whatever kind of buns in 45 minutes. Now we've got all 8 of these on a parchment lined baking sheet. I'm just going to take a tea towel, a clean tea towel, and cover these while I preheat my oven. These are going to just rest. So we're not letting these rise. We're just going to let them rest while I preheat my oven to 375. While I wait on that oven to preheat, I'm going to refresh some pulled pork. And all I did was put 2 cups of pulled pork into this pint-sized mason jar. And let me show you, I did put a little seasoning in there too, which it will season while it refreshes. But sometimes the pulled pork slices are a little bit bigger. Now this one's not very big, but I just wanted to show you. If they're too big, you can just, break them in half. Into this pint-sized jar, I have put about 1/4 teaspoon of an all-purpose seasoning like Goya adobo, and then I put a sprinkle of paprika. And then this is just really hot water that I have from my kettle. Here we go. I'm going to just fill that and let that bubble and settle on down. And then I'll put a little bit more to top it off. And then I'm just going to set the lid on there. Well, let me try that again. Okay, I'm just setting the lid on there. It's really hot, so I'm going to just let that refresh while my slider buns are resting and then eventually baking. And by the time they're finished, this will be completely refreshed and the pork will be tender, and we'll just add some barbecue sauce, heat it, and we'll have ourselves some pulled pork sliders, y'all. Can't wait. My oven has preheated, and so let me show you what they look like now. See, they've risen quite a bit in just that amount of time. So I'm going to put these in the oven, and I think I'm going to cook them for about 15 minutes, but I'll let you know when I take them out. All right, coming in hot. There are our beautiful slider buns. And the first thing I'm going to do is add a little butter, because I do like how the butter keeps everything nice and soft and moist. Y'all, it smells so good. I did leave these in there for 14 minutes, and I probably should have pulled them out at 13. So I'll make notes of that in my recipe. I always write the full recipe and put it in the description box below my video. And aren't these just beautiful? These buns, I just love the way they look. Now, if you shape them differently, you could make these into hot dog buns or sub sandwich buns. And depending on how big you make it, you will need to adjust your bake time. And let's check on our pulled pork while those buns cool slightly. I did transfer them onto a wire rack. Okay. I haven't really touched this. The reason I like to put just a little bit of seasoning in here is because as this pork draws in that water, it will draw in some of that seasoning as well. So let's just pick one and see. Yeah, this is good and tender. Looky here. This is just falling apart. Okay, I drained off most of that liquid, heated up a little bit of barbecue sauce in the bottom of this bowl. That might be half a cup, 3/4 of a cup. And then I'll just add the pulled pork. And most of the liquid is out of this at this point, but not all of it. I wasn't too concerned about that. You can put as much barbecue sauce or as little as you prefer. I go a little bit light on the sauce. Totally up to you. But yeah, here's our pulled pork. Let's take a look at these gorgeous buns. I'm going to say these are actually more like the size of hamburger buns than slider buns. I've done this recipe multiple times. I think if you want extra large hamburger buns, divide the dough into 6 pieces. And then of course you could sprinkle the tops with sesame seeds or whatever you like. These are more like hamburger buns. They're kind of big for sliders. I think they're going to be perfect for my pulled pork sandwiches. But if you want to do actual sliders, I'm going to say probably divide your dough into at least 10 or maybe 12 dough balls, and then you'll get the smaller slider size. Okay, here we go. Oh, wow. Just look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, and then I'll show you. You can do this. It'll bounce back. So I think a bun recipe needs to have a little bit more bounce. There needs to be a little bit more structure to a bun than maybe a dinner roll. But y'all, these look so good. Okay, let me make a sandwich. Well, I did make a sandwich and it was spectacular. I absolutely loved the taste of the buns as well as the pulled pork, the barbecue pulled pork. And I just think these buns are very versatile. They would be good with pretty much anything. I have made these before and just eaten a hamburger with them, and they were wonderful. I'll try and put a couple of pictures of that in here because that was spectacular. But the pulled pork, I mean, it's so easy. And I got 4 sandwiches out of that amount of pulled pork. So that was 2 cups of the pulled pork. So about half a cup per serving. Oh, and something I wanted to let y'all know about. Thrive Life is starting something kind of cool that's called bulk buy, which means if you buy 6 of any one product, the same size of the same thing, you will get an additional 5% off. And that discount can also apply to things that are already on the monthly specials. If you choose one of those things that's already 20% off, well, if you buy 6 of them, it'll all be 25% off. So I thought that was really cool. I wanted to make sure y'all knew about that so you could take advantage of the extra discount. All right. Well, I will include the full recipe for these slider buns and for the pulled pork down in the description box below the video. I'll also include my shopping link in case you want to pick up any of these ingredients you see featured on the video. I'll include my website where you can pick up a copy of my ebook cookbook. And I'll also put the link for if you want the cookbook in paperback form, you can get it on Amazon. I'll link that below. It's a great cookbook. I've got over 90 recipes in there. My volume 1, I'm calling it, because I am really working hard on volume 2, and I hope to have it out by, cross your fingers, next month. So I was thinking I would release it in June, but we have so much going on as a family. I am hoping to release it in May and then save the summer for some other things. Thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please hit the like button if you haven't already and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think below. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day. And until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.